The unnoticed nanny in a bikini at the Caribbean resort caught her millionaire boss's eyes. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us return to our main character. The sun sank low over the Caribbean resort, turning the water into a sheet of molten gold. Most guests were still finishing their late lunches or drifting through the shallow pools, but Maya had just stepped onto the quiet stretch of beach behind the staff cabins. She was supposed to be invisible here. A nanny hired temporarily for a wealthy guest's child, paid just enough to cover the debts piling up back home, and expected to stay out of sight unless she was on duty. She wore the only swimsuit she owned, a simple navy bikini that had faded slightly from too many summers. Her hair was still damp from rushing between shifts, and a thin sketchbook peeked out of the canvas tote she always carried. She had dreamed once of teaching art, of running a small workshop for kids in her neighborhood, but life had pulled her in other directions. For now, nanny work was the only job that paid fast. The resort was stunning, the kind of place she could never afford even for one night. Palm trees lined the shore, swaying lightly in the warm breeze. The air smelled of salt, sunscreen, and grilled pineapple drifting from the main bar. But Maya was not here to lounge. She had 20 minutes before she had to pick up the boy she watched, and this hidden cove was the only place she could breathe without someone barking orders at her. She dropped her tote in the sand, rolled her shoulders, and stepped toward the water. She did not know that only a few yards away, Ethan Hale was standing on the upper deck of his private villa, looking down at the shoreline. To the resort staff, he was just another high-end client, private and quiet. But in truth, Ethan Hale was the owner of the entire resort chain, a man whose name appeared in business magazines and billion-dollar investment reports. He had arrived under a different reservation name, mostly to hide from the noise of his own life. And he had noticed Maya long before she noticed him. The way she focused on the child she cared for. The way she always gave her food portion away when the boy asked for a second serving. The way she blended into the staff lines as if she was trying to take up as little space as possible. Today was the first time he had seen her off duty. From his vantage point, he saw her walk toward the water, unaware of the strong undercurrent farther out. The tide had shifted quickly over the last hour. The lifeguards had just radioed a warning to pull swimmers closer to shore. But Maya was alone, and the cove blocked the line of sight from the main beach. She waded deeper, closing her eyes as the warm waves broke gently against her hips. For a moment, she felt weightless, unburdened, free. Then the tone of the sea changed. A sudden pull, a sharp drag around her knees. Maya's eyes snapped open. The current was stronger than she expected. She tried to step back, but the water tugged harder, dragging the sand out from under her feet. A small gasp left her throat as she stumbled forward, losing balance. Ethan reacted before he could think. He moved fast, bolting down the stairs of his villa, the wood thudding beneath his feet. He tossed his phone onto a lounge chair as he sprinted across the sand, heart slamming against his ribs. Maya barely had time to cry out before the current yanked her again. She felt her chest tighten. Her legs scraped against the shifting sand. Panic rose, sharp and metallic. Then she heard a voice steady, close, firm. "Do not move. I am coming." As quote. A moment later, strong arms wrapped around her, anchoring her against the pool. Warm skin, steady breath. A presence that felt both urgent and incredibly controlled. Maya blinked through the spray of seawater as the stranger guided her back to stable ground, keeping himself between her and the current until they reached the shallow edge. Only when her feet touched firm sand again did she finally see his face. Ethan Hale, her employer's employer, a man she had only glimpsed from a distance, never spoken to, never imagined would know she existed. He looked right at her now, and for the first time in her life, Maya felt completely seen. Maya stood still for a moment, the water dripping down her arms as the rush of the rescue settled into her chest. Her heartbeat was loud, quick, confused. Ethan Hale kept one steady hand near her elbow, not touching her, but close enough that she felt the presence of someone who was making sure she did not fall again. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice low but controlled. Maya shook her head. I did not realize how strong the current was." "You were caught in a rip shift," he said. It happens fast. You would be surprised how many people get pulled like that every year. She swallowed hard, embarrassed, and a little shaken. She had worked around water her entire life, from community pools to lake camps, but she had never misread an ocean current so badly. "Thank you," she managed, her voice soft. Ethan nodded once, then took a slow breath as if assessing the situation again. Maya felt suddenly aware of how she looked. Hair plastered to her shoulders, bikini clinging to her skin, sand stuck to her legs. She pulled her arms around herself, not out of shame, but to ground her nerves. "I should get back," she said. "My break is almost over." A flicker of surprise passed through his expression. "You are working today?" "I work every day," Maya said with a small attempt at a smile. "The Hale family hired me as a temporary nanny while they stay at the resort." His eyes shifted slightly, a subtle reaction she could not read. Of course she did not know that he was the Hale family. To her, he was just a wealthy guest who happened to be in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place, depending on how she looked at the embarrassment of nearly drowning in front of him. Maya bent down to pick up her canvas tote. Her sketchbook slid halfway out, its corner damp with sea spray. Ethan noticed. "You draw," he said. Maya hesitated. "Only a little. It is nothing serious." He watched her tuck the sketchbook deeper into the bag, as if hiding something precious. "It looks serious to you." She did not answer. Instead, she tightened the straps of her tote, brushed sand from her arms, and prepared to return to the staff walkway. But before she could take a step, Ethan spoke again, slower this time. "You handled the situation better than most people would have," he said. "You stayed calm when the water shifted. That takes instinct." Maya blinked, surprised by the unexpected compliment. It did not feel calm. "It was," he replied. For a moment they stood there, two people who should never have crossed paths in the first place, a billionaire hiding from his own world, a nanny trying to survive hers, and neither realizing that this small rescue on a quiet beach was about to alter both of their lives in ways they could not imagine. Maya turned toward the staff path. "I really do need to get back." Ethan gave a small nod. "Then I will walk you." She looked over her shoulder, unsure why someone like him would offer that. But he was already matching her pace across the sand, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows behind them as the calm waves brushed the shoreline once more, unaware of the moment they had just interrupted. Maya walked beside Ethan along the narrow path that connected the private villas to the staff buildings. The sun had dipped lower, turning the palm shadows long and thin against the sand. Neither of them spoke at first. Maya focused on the small stones crunching under her feet, trying to settle the leftover tremor in her chest. It felt strange to have him walking with her. Guests did not go into the staff area. They never did. When they reached the line where the private beach faded into the resort service zone, Maya slowed. "You do not have to go farther," she said gently. "This part is for employees only." Ethan glanced at the faded staff-only sign, then back at her. "I will stop here then. But before you go, I want to make sure you are really all right." His tone was steady, but something in his expression held a quiet intensity. It was as if he was looking at her differently now, not as a passing face he had observed from a villa balcony, but as someone he had nearly watched get swept away. "I am fine," she said, "just embarrassed." "There is nothing embarrassing about surviving a dangerous moment," he replied. "The ocean can be unpredictable. Maya looked down, adjusting her grip on the tote bag. "Thank you again. Really." Ethan nodded once, then stepped back as she walked into the employee corridor. When she disappeared behind the row of palm trees, he lingered for a few seconds longer than necessary before turning toward his villa. Inside the staff hallway, Maya let out a slow breath of relief. The noise of the resort returned around her, distant clattering from the kitchens, cartwheels rolling across tile, and the pages of guest schedules flipping in the hands of supervisors. She tucked her sketchbook deeper into her bag before walking to the nanny station to meet the child she watched. The boy, 4-year-old Noah, lit up when he saw her. "Maya, look what I made." He held up a paper fish covered in bright crayons. His excitement immediately grounded her, reminding her why she worked so hard. She knelt to his level with a smile. "That is beautiful. You are getting so good at blending colors." His nanny hours continued as usual. Playtime, a walk through the shaded garden, a snack, and quiet drawing time. But today Maya had to fight distraction. Every now and then she heard Ethan's voice in her mind, or felt the pressure of the wave pulling her forward, or remembered his eyes scanning her face to make sure she was not hurt. It was ridiculous to think about him. Men like him lived in a different world, a world where money smoothed every edge and removed every fear, a world where a simple vacation could cost more than her yearly rent. He probably forgot her name the moment she walked away. That was how this place worked. Workers blended into the background, replaced easily, unnoticed when gone. She reminded herself of that as she packed Noah's toys at the end of her shift. But someone had noticed her, Ethan Hale, just not in the way she thought. While Maya returned Noah to his parents and clocked out for the evening, Ethan sat at the desk inside his villa, looking out toward the water. He had a stack of emails open, investor reports waiting for approval, and a list of scheduled meetings that reached halfway down the screen. But he could not bring himself to look away from the shoreline. He had seen guests rescued before, tourists panicking after stepping too far into a current, lifeguards rushing in with whistles and flotation boards. But today was different. When he saw Maya struggling, something tightened inside him in a way he had not felt in years. It pulled him off the deck before he even understood why. It bothered him how shaken he had been watching it happen, and it bothered him even more that he could not stop thinking about her afterward. The way she tried to compose herself, the way she downplayed her fear, the way she carried that little sketchbook like a fragile piece of her life she was not ready to share. Ethan closed his laptop. The resort had hundreds of employees, and he had never involved himself in personal matters with any of them. He ran entire chains without knowing a single nanny's name, but he knew hers, Maya. He stood and looked once more toward the path where she had walked away. Then he made a quiet decision. Tomorrow, he would find a reason to cross paths with her again. The next morning arrived warm and bright, the kind of Caribbean morning that made the entire resort look polished and new. Guests drifted toward the breakfast terraces, waiters carried trays of coffee and fresh fruit, and the sound of waves blended with soft music from hidden speakers. Maya, however, felt anything but light. She kept replaying yesterday in her mind as she tied her hair into a neat ponytail behind the staff building. She reminded herself to focus. Today she had a full schedule with Noah, and she wanted to start the day with calm energy for him. When she entered the family's private cabana, Noah ran to her with his usual enthusiasm. "Maya, can we build a sandcastle today?" She smiled. "If you promise not to knock it down before it is finished this time." His mother laughed from a nearby lounge chair. "We will be at the spa for the morning. Thank you for keeping him busy." Maya nodded and took Noah's hand, guiding him toward the quieter part of the beach. She set out buckets and shovels, placing herself where she could watch the water more carefully than she had the day before. She did not plan to make another mistake with the ocean. While Noah filled buckets with wet sand, Maya traced a small shell in the sand with the tip of her finger. Her thoughts drifted again. She wondered if she would see Ethan today, and immediately scolded herself. He was a guest, a powerful one. He would not seek her out. She told herself that twice before she finally placed her focus back on Noah, but she did not have to wonder for long. She felt it before she saw him, an odd tension, like being watched, but not in a threatening way. When she turned, Ethan Hale was walking toward them along the shoreline. He was dressed simply in a white shirt and casual linen pants, but there was something about the way he carried himself that drew attention without effort. Several guests glanced at him as he passed. Maya's breath caught for a moment. She quickly looked back at Noah, smoothing the sand wall they had shaped. Ethan approached at an unhurried pace. "Good morning," he said. Maya stood, brushing sand from her palms. "Good morning." Noah looked up. "Are you building with us?" Ethan smiled down at him. "If Maya says I am allowed." Maya blinked, surprised he even asked. "You are a guest. You can sit wherever you like." "That is not what I asked," he replied gently. Her cheeks warmed, and she looked away for a second. "Yes, you can join." Noah immediately handed Ethan a small blue shovel. "You get the big side. We are making a castle that does not fall." Ethan crouched beside them without hesitation, his expression focused but softer than she had ever seen it. He helped Noah pack the sand, shape towers, and dig a little moat. The scene felt strangely natural, as if he had done this 100 times instead of stepping into it for the first time. Maya kept stealing small glances at him, confused by the comfort she felt near him. Yesterday he had saved her from a current. Today he was kneeling in the sand, building a crooked sandcastle with a 4-year-old. When Noah ran off to collect shells, Maya lowered her voice. "You did not have to come over here." "I know," Ethan said. "I wanted to." She hesitated. "Why?" He did not answer immediately. He lifted a handful of sand and let it fall through his fingers, thinking, "Because I wanted to see for myself that you were all right, and because I did not like how quickly you walked away yesterday." Maya looked down at the uneven castle in front of them. "It was not intentional. I just needed to get back to work." "And now?" he asked. She swallowed. "Now I am working again. But I am not here for work," he said softly. "I am here because I want to talk to you." I was Before she could reply, Noah came running back with 2 handfuls of shells, shouting about decorations for the castle. The moment broke, but the weight of Ethan's words stayed with her, settling into the quiet space between them. And for the first time, Maya wondered if this man was not just a passing moment in her life, but the beginning of something she was not ready to name yet. Noah's laughter filled the air as he pressed shells into the wet sand, but Maya's thoughts were still tangled in Ethan's words. She tried to focus on the sandcastle, shaping the top of a tower, but her hands shook slightly. She hoped Ethan did not notice. He did. He watched her for a quiet moment, then spoke in a low voice, meant only for her. "If I am making you uncomfortable, tell me. I will step away." She shook her head quickly. "You are not. I am just not used to guests wanting to talk to me." His eyes softened. "I am not here as a guest right now." She did not know what he meant by that, and before she could ask, Noah tugged on her arm. "Maya, look, I found a star shell." She picked it up carefully. "This one is beautiful. We can place it right at the front." Noah scampered off again, leaving the 2 adults in a pocket of silence. The breeze carried the scent of salt and warm sand, and the water glimmered in the distance. Maya kept her gaze on the castle, trying to steady her breathing. Ethan brushed a bit of sand from his knee. "You really care about him," he said, looking toward Noah. "I care about every child I work with," she replied. "But Noah is special. He reminds me of my little brother when he was that age." "You are good with kids," Ethan said. "It is obvious." Maya let out a breath that was half a sigh, half a laugh. "It is the only thing I am really good at. Childcare and drawing, I guess. Everyone." "You guess?" he repeated. She paused. "Art was the one thing I wanted to pursue, but that ended when bills became more important than dreams." Ethan looked at her carefully, the kind of look that made her feel as if he saw more than she was saying. She shifted in the sand, suddenly self-conscious. Before he could ask more, a voice called from behind them. "Excuse me, Ethan?" Maya froze. She had never heard anyone speak his name so casually before. She turned and saw a man in a resort uniform jogging toward them with a tablet in hand. The staff member gave a polite nod to Maya, then addressed Ethan. "Sir, the executive office needs your approval on the final floor plan for the new wing. They are waiting in Conference Hall B." Maya frowned. "Conference Hall? Approval?" That did not sound like anything a normal resort guest would be asked for. Ethan's jaw tightened just slightly. "I will be there soon, too." "Was Makalosabasand?" "Yes, sir," the staff member replied before hurrying back up the path. When the man disappeared, Maya looked at Ethan with confusion. "Why are they asking you about a construction plan? That sounds like something for management." For a moment, Ethan did not answer. He brushed the sand from his hands, his expression unreadable. Then he looked at her, and the quiet tension between them grew heavier. "Maya," he said slowly, "there is something you should know." Her heartbeat quickened. She waited, but Ethan only stood, nodding toward Noah. "Let us finish the castle first. Then we will talk." And even though his tone was calm, something inside Maya told her that whatever he would reveal next would change everything she thought she understood about the man sitting in the sand beside her. Noah proudly placed the last shell on the front tower, declaring the sandcastle finished. Maya clapped for him, grateful for the distraction, but her mind kept circling the words Ethan had not said. She felt the weight of them pressing against her ribs. Whatever he was hiding, it was not small. When Noah ran toward the shoreline to rinse his hands, Maya finally spoke. "You said there was something I should know." Ethan exhaled slowly. "Yes, but I did not want to say it in front of Noah, and I did not want to overwhelm you." Her throat tightened. "Then just tell me." "Izonster." He looked toward the water for a moment, gathering his thoughts. "The staff member who came earlier, he works directly for me. The project he mentioned is part of our next expansion." She frowned. "But why would he come to you? Unless—" She stopped. The realization hovered on the edge of her mind, but she could not fully accept it. Ethan continued gently. "I am not here as a regular guest. I am here because this resort is one of the properties under my company. Maya blinked. Your company? Yes, he said. I own Hale International Resorts. This place is mine. For a moment, the sounds around her waves breaking, seagulls calling, Noah splashing felt distant, almost muted. She stared at him, unsure if she had heard correctly. You are the owner, she repeated softly. I am. Maya took an involuntary step back. The sand shifted beneath her heel. I thought you were just visiting. I thought you were just someone who happened to be there yesterday. I'm Speet. I was there yesterday, he said quietly. I just did not think my title mattered in that moment. Her chest tightened. But it matters now, because it means you were never just passing by. It means you are my employer's employer, and I have been talking to you like... She shook her head. I should not have. Ethan moved a little closer, his tone calm but firm. Maya, you did nothing wrong. I did not tell you because I did not want you to change how you spoke to me. I wanted to know you as you are, not as someone nervous around a title. She looked away, embarrassed and overwhelmed. This is too much. Yesterday I almost drowned in front of you. Today, you are telling me you own the entire resort. That does not change what happened, he said. I am still the man who pulled you out of the water, and you are still the woman who stood there shaking but tried to pretend she was fine. His voice softened. I told you I wanted to talk to you. I meant that. To say. Maya wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly unsure of where to place her feelings. Everything felt unsteady again, not because of the ocean this time, but because the ground under her life had shifted. Before she could reply, Noah ran back toward them, holding a fistful of dripping shells. Look, I found more. Maya forced a smile and crouched down to help him sort them. From the corner of her eye, she saw Ethan watching her quietly, giving her space, while still standing near. She knew he was waiting for an answer, but she did not know yet what the question really was. When the afternoon sun grew hotter, Maya guided Noah back toward the family cabana. Her steps felt heavier than the warm sand beneath her feet. Ethan walked with them for a short distance, far enough to show he was not leaving, yet careful not to intrude. Maya kept her eyes on Noah, pretending to focus on the boy's excited chatter, but her mind was still spinning around Ethan's reveal. When they reached the edge of the private cabana area, she stopped and turned to Ethan. You should go. His parents will be back soon. Ethan nodded, reading the tension in her voice. I understand. But Maya, I hope we can continue talking later. She did not answer. She simply gave a polite nod and walked away with Noah, feeling his gaze linger behind her like a warm shadow she did not know what to do with. The afternoon passed slowly. She helped Noah build puzzles, ate lunch with him, and read him a story when the sun grew too hot outside. But even as she smiled and listened to him, she felt the pressure growing in her chest. She could not ignore what she had learned. She worked for the resort. He owned the resort, and that meant her life and his were not supposed to overlap. When her shift ended, Maya clocked out and slipped into the staff walkway behind the palm grove. She was hoping for silence, but instead she found two co-workers whispering near the supply carts. That is him, one said. The owner, Ethan Hale. He arrived yesterday. I heard he is checking the new expansion plans, the other replied. Managers are panicking. They said he is staying under a private name so he can watch how everyone behaves. Maya froze. A quiet panic crawled up her throat. Was that why he talked to her? Was she part of some test? Was their entire conversation on the beach nothing more than him observing an employee? She backed away before they noticed her, her heart pounding. She walked quickly toward the laundry building, desperate for space, but instead she collided straight into someone stepping around the corner. Ethan. Her breath caught. He had changed into a light button-down shirt, sleeves rolled casually, but the concern in his eyes was unmistakable. Maya, he said, steadying her by the forearm. Are you all right? She pulled her arm back gently. You should not be here. This is the staff area. I know, he said quietly, but I wanted to see you. You left earlier without saying much. That is because there is nothing more to say, she replied, trying to keep her voice calm. He studied her face. Something is wrong. Tell me. She shook her head. I overheard people talking. They said you are here to observe employees, to make sure everyone is doing their job. And I realized, maybe I was just part of that. Maybe everything you said earlier was just professional interest. Ethan's expression sharpened with disbelief. Maya, no. That is not why I came to you. "But you did not tell me who you were," she said. "So how am I supposed to know what was real and what was not?" Silence pressed between them, heavy and warm like the evening air. Ethan stepped closer, not touching her, but close enough that she felt the sincerity in his voice. "I did not approach you as the owner. I approached you as the man who saw someone brave, kind, and trying her best with what little space she was given. I approached you because I wanted to." Her throat tightened, but she looked away. "It does not change the fact that you have power over this place. Over me." He paused, the weight of her words sinking in. "You are right," he said, "and that is exactly why I have been careful. I did not want to make you feel pressured." She swallowed, unsure whether to believe him, unsure whether her heart was reacting to fear or to the way he was looking at her. Behind them, a cart rolled by, the noise breaking the moment. Maya stepped back. "I need time," she whispered. Ethan nodded slowly. "Then I will give you that, but I am not walking away." And as he turned to leave, Maya realized that the real storm was no longer in the ocean. It was inside her. Maya spent the next 2 days avoiding every place where she might cross paths with Ethan. She kept her shifts tight, stayed near the designated childcare areas, and slipped through the staff hallways quickly. She told herself it was for the best. A man like him lived in a world she had no part in. And yet, every night before she fell asleep in her tiny staff room, she replayed the way he had looked at her when he said, "I am not walking away." But distance did not quiet the storm inside her. It only made the questions louder. On the third morning, she took Noah to the garden trail behind the resort, where the air smelled like hibiscus and freshly watered grass. Noah ran ahead on the path, chasing a small lizard that darted between the stones. Maya followed slowly, lost in her thoughts. Then she noticed something strange. Near the end of the trail, the old activity hut, usually dusty, cluttered, and ignored, was open. Fresh paint lined the doorway. New tables had been set up. The windows had been cleaned until they shone. She stepped closer, curiosity tugging her forward. When she looked inside, her breath caught. The entire hut had been transformed. Sketch pads stacked neatly, colored pencils, water paints, child-sized easels arranged in a gentle semicircle, and on the far wall, framed carefully behind glass, hung something that made her heart stop. A page from her sketchbook, one she had not realized was missing. The simple drawing of the shoreline, the one she had made during her first week at the resort. She remembered thinking it was not good enough to show anyone. Now it was displayed like art. The moment felt unreal. She heard footsteps behind her. She turned. Ethan stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets, his gaze steady but cautious. "I did not take it," he said. "It fell from your bag the day I helped you walk back to the staff area. I meant to return it, but then I saw the sketch, and I knew I wanted to do this." Maya looked around the hut again, overwhelmed. "Ethan, what is this?" "A space for kids," he said. "A place for them to draw, play, and make something of their own, inspired by the way you talk to Noah, and by the dreams you keep trying to hide." Her throat tightened. "You should not have done this." "Maybe not," he said softly. "But I wanted you to know I heard you, all of you, not just the parts you show when you are working." Maya shook her head, emotion rising too quickly. "This is too much. I do not know how to accept something like this." "You do not have to accept anything," he said. "You only have to tell me the truth. Are you pulling away because of who I am, or because you are afraid of what this could be?" She stared at him, stunned by the directness of his question. A child's laughter echoed from down the trail, Noah's voice calling her name. Maya blinked hard, steadying herself. "I do not know," she whispered. Ethan nodded once, stepping back to give her space. "Then start with this," he said. "I built this place for the kids, but also for you. Not as an owner, not as someone above you. As a man who sees what you are capable of." Her heart beat unevenly, torn between fear and something dangerously close to hope. Before she could form a reply, Noah ran into the hut, his eyes widening at the colors and supplies. "Maya, look! It is a real art place." She swallowed the lump in her throat. "Yes, Noah," she said quietly. "It is." Noah rushed from easel to easel, his excitement filling the newly restored art hut with life. Maya watched him dip a brush into bright blue paint, completely mesmerized. The sight warmed her, but the knot in her chest remained. She felt Ethan's presence behind her even before he stepped closer. He kept his voice low. "This place only works if you want it to. If you want to lead it. If you want to make it yours." Maya looked at him, the truth settling heavily inside her. You did all of this because you felt responsible for me, because I work here, because you have the power to. He's Goward. No, he said firmly. I did it because you inspired it, and because I meant every word I said. I am not here to control your life. I am here because I choose to stand with you. She looked around again, the sunlight on the tables, the framed sketch, the shelves of untouched supplies. It was everything she had once dreamed of but never believed she would have, and it was offered not as charity, but as recognition. Ethan stepped closer, careful and gentle. Maya, I cannot change the fact that our worlds are different, but I can promise you that I will never use my position to push you into anything. If you walk away from me, I will respect that. If you stay, I will try every day to earn that choice. Her eyes softened, the fear loosening little by little. You did not have to build this place to prove anything. I know, he said. I wanted to. Noah waved at them with paint-stained hands. Maya, come paint with me. Faye. She laughed through the emotion tightening her throat. She turned to Ethan, her voice settling into something steady, something true. I cannot promise I am ready for all of this, but I am willing to try. Ethan's expression warmed, sincere and relieved. Then that is more than enough. Maya walked toward Noah, picking up a brush, letting the moment settle naturally between them. Ethan stayed near the doorway, watching her with quiet admiration. Outside, the Caribbean breeze carried the sound of laughter, paintbrushes tapping, and the soft beginning of something neither of them had expected, something real, something earned, and something strong enough to grow in a place built from kindness. The story did not end with a rescue. It began with what came after.